We'll start off with the introductions. I've got Frankie, Bart, Casper, Erez, and John. I'll let them go through a brief introduction. Frankie, do you want to take it off?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think I'm the only Chinese here, right? I represent search engine marketing.
I used to be Chinese.
Yeah. And I'm from Baidu, which just like Google here, the dominant search leader in the biggest global market for China.
Great. And what's your role at Baidu?
I'm taking over the P&L. I'm the general manager who take care about the Baidu international business.
Bart.
Hey. So my name is Bart Berggraaf, originally Dutch, but I run Media Group London, which is a part of Media Group Worldwide. We are a niche full-service agency specializing in the online trading market.
And what's your kind of role there at Media Group?
So I run strategic accounts, but in general, I run the London office.
Casper?
Thank you. I started working at Saxo Bank 7 years ago, so I'm one of the dinosaurs. I originally just did PR in Europe with focus on Denmark. Saxo Bank was a very different bank back then, much smaller, and we didn't have 26 offices around the world at that time. 2 years later, I got the position that I have now, Head of Communications. So I've basically worked a lot with the geographic expansion of the bank the past 5 years. Well, I went through the turmoil as a new Head of Communications, which was a learning experience. It also makes me want to add, I know we're not going into that discussion yet, but I might want to add that I tend to disagree with the premise of this session, because I don't think that it's just an evolving environment that we're working in. I also think it's a quite hostile environment. I don't see a lot of changes with regards to trust, distrust. The past 5 years, I think we're pretty much in the same situation as we were after the crisis in 2008.
You can tell he's in communications, because that was supposed to be a 1-minute intro, not your life story. All right, Erez, over to you.
Hi, I'm Erez. I'm working with MT Media. Many years ago, the founders realized the need for education as a marketing tool, and the company was founded. And since then, we are producing high-quality videos and other educational materials which brokers use for their marketing purposes and also for sales and retention purposes. And again, what we are making sure is that our content not only high quality, but also embedded and very deeply integrated with all the funnels of the brokers.
Perfect, thank you. And John, last but not least.
Yeah, my name is John Lewis. I'm co-founder and CMO of Conversion Pros, and we're basically a retail financial marketing agency. We specialize within that scope, and we've also expanded with some expos, the IFX Expo, as well as the Financial Partners Expo. We found that when we went into the industry 3 years ago, there was no place for people to meet and network. So the IFX Expo was a platform for us to do that. And we've seen a lot of changes within the industry from that time, and also being in-house myself within brokerages. So we're going to try and give you as much insight as possible.
Perfect, yeah, we are going to hope to educate you and inform you. There will be mics around, so if you do want to interrupt us, if we're too boring, then do so. But we'll just sort of introduce the topic and get some overview of how marketing currently is in the FX brokerage space. Who wants to go first? Bart, do you want to tell us a little bit generally about how's the market, how's the appetite at the moment?
Sure. Well, as we all know, volatility has improved, so people are picking up their marketing spend again. In general, I think the savvy brokers know that money that you spend now, even though there's little volatility, will come in handy later on. I mean, I don't think that's the case for the brokers that go after the smaller clients per se, but the mid to high tiered guys, that's definitely the case. So besides it picking up, I think the state of the industry is such that more and more brokers start to focus on the numbers, becoming good at measuring stuff, at having an overview from beginning to end, and that's sort of driving a change in the marketing tactics that they also choose to employ, because with measurement, with insight comes optimization, and so a lot of the marketing tactics that brokers employ are accordingly changing.
Well, I agree that, as I see it, there's two trends. One is that we need to either rebuild trust or as a starting point, just work from the fact that we work in a hostile environment. Another trend is definitely that to become better, also to rebuild trust, of course, in our industry as a whole. The FX industry in particular, the use of big data is very important. We need to learn whether what we do is actually the best thing to do. So working with data scientists, maybe even setting up a department like we have done in Saxo Bank, with dedicated scientists that just do nothing but look at big data, is definitely important going forward.
But what alternatives are there if you're not able to have a big
dedicated data scientist
desk like they do in Copenhagen? How do the smaller brokers operate?
I just want to add something. We're seeing a lot of companies, even small to medium-sized companies, investing in their analytics. And of course, we know that employing a full BI division, but business intelligence, is going to be more expensive than actually investing in something that's smaller scale. But there are some solutions out there that are good. I mean, even Google Analytics is one point. The starting point is free. It's something that you'll be surprised how many smaller scale brokers start without any measurement. And I think it's important before you start an operation to make sure you have measurement in place, because as long as you have some form of measurement, it's better than no form of measurement. And then once you see that value in the measurement and taking that big data and optimizing it, then you can then reinvest in that. And as you're spending more and you're doing more channels, you should be investing in your analytics, just as the panelists have said.
Perfect. Yeah. Frankie, what about yourself? What are you currently seeing, and then also looking at analytics and measurement?
I think we just gone over talk about like Google Analytics, but one point I need to remember.
So you've got Baidu Analytics, have you?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. Sometimes in China, in some so-called unique market, you need to pay attention. What is the norms of the market? For example, we talk about big data. We talk about like free analytics software. But in China, it sounds like the most dominant software is Baidu Analytics, because you are doing the China market. You need to ensure in all the things you got sufficient data to make analysis. I wanted to add one more point is specific for the China market, for those brokers who honor to enter this big market. Because I think in the past, many brokers, they really heavily count on the IB to do their business in China. But now I think most of the players, they find the quality brought by the IBs, the customers, they are not so consistent. So in recent years, they count on doing direct marketing for themselves. So that's why they keep more effort into analytics and doing like search engine marketing, doing some direct mailing and email marketing, all the things. So it adds the capacity of the marketing complex.
Yeah, it's certainly becoming a lot more complex, especially when you layer in different channels, different countries, different ways of doing things. So then it's especially important that a company invests in this. I don't think it has to be as complicated as having dedicated data scientists sitting in your team. It's great, of course, if you can afford to do so, but there are shortcuts that one can take. And I think there's plenty of information on the internet available to
there must be some good tools now. I know for SEO and for all these other things, there's some good platforms out there. Is there any good ones that we can recommend to the people? So if they have an in-house marketing team, they're not able to use an agency, there's probably one man and his dog doing a few jobs, what can they be using?
Well,
Go on,
well,
Erez.
yeah, these days, content marketing is very important for SEO, since it's not enough to have text in the website. You must make sure that the user experience is high, and this will make your website pages rank higher. And therefore, it's not just about having the right keywords in the website. You must make sure that the user experience throughout the website, not only in the main page, but also in the inner pages, has to be as high as possible. And
what are you putting in here? Are you putting, so you have about 300 words of text. You're from the video. Are you suggesting videos on each page?
well, if you try to compare a modern movie in the cinema to an old movie from the 60s, the movie is completely different. And you cannot use the movie, which might be a very good one, from the 60s, you cannot use it these days. These days, textual materials are way less effective than what it used to be. These days, the audience wanted everything to happen now and fast, and therefore you must provide it. And this is why videos are a very good solution, since this is what they are looking for. If you look at YouTube, it's one of the biggest services out there. And it is there because this is what works these days. And as a worker, we must use these utilities and tools. But it's not also video, not only videos. It's also other interactive tools and things that will help the traders be engaged, and therefore the SEO rank will be much higher.
So no matter what shape you put content in, I think we can all agree that besides measurement and a drive towards higher accountability in your marketing, content as a whole is something which is getting much more attention. So thought leadership, pouring it into video, pouring it into specific websites like DailyFX or TradingFloor.com, sharing it with offline media, giving it to your clients to trade more. Content in all shapes and forms, I think, is something that's driving this market.
I think it's worth mentioning that even marketing gurus, they don't know what's going on. I mean, so this is, and that's why I'm glad that Børge also mentioned big data, because we really don't know where this is going. Nobody knows what they're doing, and we just have to try. I agree that also from my starting point, which I think is very important to mention, and that's why I'm doing it again. It is a very hostile environment we're working in, and content marketing is a way to rebuild trust. But whether it's working or not, whether it'll get us more clients, more volumes, we don't know. I mean, it's fine that you think you know, but the truth is nobody knows, because it is evolving very fast, and changes all the time, and the new generation that's coming in, we don't know. We just know they watch more videos, right? On their tablets. That's all we know.
I don't agree. I think you can very well know what your content marketing program is bringing you if you set it up in the right way.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know where we're going. I mean, we know what's working right now, but we don't know what's working tomorrow, because the new generation of users and potential investors and traders that's coming in the next 10 years, they're just much faster than us. I mean, look at your kids. If any of you have kids, they know a lot more about the internet than we do, and we work with it all day long.
I mean, brokers have to react to, say, Twitter and stuff, but I think that's what we're trying to bring to the foray here, that brokers need to be prepped so at least they're on one standard. So everybody has a Twitter feed, everybody has, a landing page, everybody has daily comments coming out. How are you preparing for the future?
Testing.
I think testing, and I think the big data we spoke about, I think one big trend, and going back to the future generation, one big trend we're seeing is mobile traffic. The amount of traffic that is coming to our clients from a mobile is huge. And you'll be surprised how many brokers aren't even set up so that their websites are mobile friendly and operational. So, you know, I would suggest anybody from a small to medium-sized brokerage here that hasn't checked that should make sure that they check that and can do reporting from their mobile training platform as well.
And then also be open and honest about what they do. The data they collect or buy or whatever they do, how they do it, put it out. Let's show how we work. That's a way to rebuild trust, I think so.
Are you going to tell us your key marketing strategy now then? What puts
I'm
Saxo
not
where
the head
it
of
is?
marketing, but what I do know is that the past year we've had a lot of good feedback from the fact that we publish our monthly volumes, that we publish our monthly asset under management. In the beginning, I can tell you my colleagues weren't glad when we started doing it. It was during very difficult times. But in the longer term, if we ever go down the IPO road for Saxo Bank, then we've done some of the heavy lifting already. And now that the volumes are up, everybody loves this initiative.
So, speaking about mobile, I think it's definitely an important channel, and everyone is becoming cross-channel. It's good that you focus on that, but it's more of a dissatisfier to have a bad experience on your mobile device or on your tablet device than it is a satisfier. No one is going to go, wow, this broker has a mobile website. I'm so going to trade with these guys. So it's just sort of, you know, the status quo. And lots of people are spending money without them even knowing it, driving advertising on mobile devices. Large percentages of media buys are towards mobile, even though you're not specifically targeting it. And if those people all come to an experience that is subpar, you're alienating your audience. And so, yes, your website needs to be responsive. You need to have a great mobile trading platform. But this is, I mean, I think most marketing people will be aware that this is necessary.
Yeah, I also want to at one point to echo back, you know, Casper, what he said. You know, I think besides testing, we need to carry out the regular review. Just like we talk about mobile advertising, mobile is good in terms of bookers, in terms of motivation of transactions like the trading. But for account opening, new customer acquisition, seems like, you know, most of you, they still count on desktop to do the conversions for account opening. So I agree what we talk about mobile is a trend, but however, we need to monitor based on the data you collect, which one is most perform. Just to give you an example, I think half of you know, they are already with Baidu, are my customer. But I tell you, the keyword which is proven most efficient for Saxo doesn't mean for another broker. Reason is simple, you guys have different brand equity, different market positions, and even the marketing strategies are totally different. Some of them, they're based on IB, some of them, you know, based on the referral marketing, some of them just based on direct marketing. So that's why I believe, other than testing, we also need to sit together on a regular basis so that to understand which prove to be the most efficient channel to drive your business.
So what keyword is ranking the most, if you can share with us?
Now, I think based on my observation among our industry, two major media proved to be most effective. One is SEM, search engine marketing. Good thing is even we talk about like small bookers, you can start it because it charges only cost per click. Another thing it will be remarketing. Remarketing is based on those you find interest about your company, your service, or about, you know, those forest products. You just go ahead and you know, grab it back to your website. But be aware for the second thing I mentioned, to make it a very comprehensive remarketing, you need to install the pixel or beacons at your website. Otherwise, you hardly do a very good job over there.
Well, I think talking about PPC, it's a very important tool. However, I see many brokers who are thinking that PPC alone is enough, and I think it's a big mistake. Since well, all right, you are buying traffic and you are getting some conversion, but once you are stop paying for the PPC, you get zero traffic, and therefore it's very important not only to have just one channel, just PPC channel, but to diversify all your channels and make sure you have also organic marketing and in combination with PPC and other paid marketing channels, and then you'll be able to pass forward, and then you'll be able to lower your PPC budget and still have traffic in your website.
But you see, everything costs money. Now, if we've got various marketing approaches, we've got social media, search, PR, and a few others, what one converts the quickest and the most? When you've got a new medium, budgets are low in marketing, what can we try?
Well,
I can't keep trying.
I think the first place that many brokerages start is PPC.
Yes.
But I think, just to reiterate what Erez is saying, if you only do PPC and you're only doing pull, then you're not actually getting the optimal effectiveness, just like Frankie said, when you're doing push. So what we've seen is the correct combination of push. Let's say if we're sticking to digital advertising and you do display advertising, combined with search, you're going to get much more effectiveness and a longer lasting marketing cycle than if you just do PPC campaign for 5 or 10K for a month and try and get a lead cost of $25. It's not realistic in today's environment. So you have to do multiple channels, and you have to have a much more long-term strategy, because as we know, what you do today in marketing, you might only see in 3 or 6 months down the road. So, you know, that's basically what we've seen, the combination.
If you're a small broker, then by all means, focus on the last step in the conversion funnel. So if you see your marketing program as marketing along a continuous path from anywhere to awareness to converting, the channels that are most close to converting are channels like PPC, channels like remarketing, going to broker listings, things like this. And if you're a smaller broker, by all means focus on that, because you know, to be honest, you need the funds now to grow your marketing program. If you're a bigger broker, absolutely focus on the top of the funnel as well. Focus on the middle of the funnel. I think we all agree that one of the tactics, if you want a hot tip, one of the channels that works the best right now is RTB, remarketing and prospecting.
RTB?
Using
For
real-time bidding, programmatic marketing. It's a way of buying banner media without paying full price. So basically, when a publisher has inventory that they haven't sold, has impressions that they haven't sold, they offer it to an auction, and you can bid using electronic platforms, much like trading platforms. You can find people that have visited your website before, or you can find a new audience. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's much cheaper and much more direct and measurable. And I think John knows a lot about that as well.
Yeah, and also what you can do is you can put a conversion pixel on your thank you page, and these systems can actually optimize automatically to websites and publisher placements that actually have a higher probability of converting. Because a lot of times when we get clients, they come and say, okay, can we buy leads from you? And you know, after a certain amount of people tell you that, you have to kind of think, okay, well, maybe I need to build a strategy around that. So we're currently looking at ways in which we can maybe build something that can offer a lead-based bidding. But effectively, when you're buying on CPM or CPC, it's hard as an agency to charge anything other than that. So unless Google starts doing it, it's going to be a lot harder for us, or Baidu.
We have to take the risk in that case.
Yeah, we need to take the risk.
And that never works out well for the customer or the agency. So
exactly. So.
Well, another dumb question from the non-marketer, CPC and CPM.
Well, cost per click, obviously, I think Frankie mentioned that is quite straightforward. You see an ad, you click on it, and you pay for that. And then CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions. So, you know, that's more for brand awareness. You're paying, let's say, $1 or 50 cents to see 1,000 impressions of your banner.
So you read the glossary well.
I know it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but if you listen to John and the other guys, they are all talking about using different channels, right, to reach clients or leads. And I would just say that even though it's probably not first thing on your mind when you wake up in the morning and you're a small brokerage, maybe 1 or 2 people, then think storytelling. I mean, think about what is it really your business is about. How do you differentiate yourself from the rest of of the market. That is actually what Saxo Bank did many years ago when we were only 5 or 2. How can we differentiate ourselves? Saxo Bank happened to come across the internet at a very early stage, and that was good for Lars and Kim. But they were also 2 people once. But what they were always really good at was to differentiate themselves from the rest of the market, from the big marble palaces of Wall Street, and think storytelling, and use PR. It's just a phone call away. It's free.
I agree. I think we're all talking about doing marketing in a very competitive environment, like being just a tiny fraction better than the other guy, buying cheaper. Of course, you can scrape out a good living. Some of us do very well of that. But the main thing is, if you want to have a lasting, a long-term competitive advantage, you need to stop competing with everyone, and you need to differentiate and segment your market. And you need to build your company in a way that your target audience will be crazy not to trade with you. That means very specific.
Well, it's very easy to say. It's very hard to accomplish.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, obviously not too many are succeeding with that. But as a tip, how you can differentiate yourself is by not following the entire crowd. If you try to compete, for example, talking about CPC or other paid marketing channels, if you try to compete with all the bigger brands, let's say you are a smaller or medium-sized brand, it will be very hard for you. And if you would like to differentiate yourself, you can try different keywords. We are working with education solutions, so we find it that many brokers are very happy to use the education in such channels, since if they are using the right keywords, which aren't the main keywords, they are getting better prices for the marketing campaigns, and the results are also high, and also the ad rank is much higher since the content is engaging.
I think just one thing to add, because we spoke about analytics, we went actually backwards and we spoke analytics, BI, and then we spoke about channels. But then we touched about differentiation, and I think where you can differentiate yourself is in your marketing communications. And it's just like, Casper said, how do you differentiate yourself as a brand? You can't just take what Plus 500 does and just copy-paste that over and expect to get the same numbers, or copy-paste what Saxo Bank does. And you need to really think long and hard. And unfortunately, because some startup brokerages or even medium-sized brokerages, they don't focus too much time on campaigns and actually coming up with creative, innovative ways on how to convert clients once they've visited your landing page or your website. So I think focusing on trying to optimize that funnel and try and come up with innovative campaigns and marketing messages can help.
Here's a question for you. I just set up my brokerage in Cyprus, launched MT4, offer euro-dollar at less than 1 pip, have prime of prime. How can I differentiate myself?
See, you started off the wrong way.
You sort of did.
Because if you want to differentiate yourself, you shouldn't have an MT4 platform.
But why are people still setting up then? Look around you. Every broker is offering MT4.
They all think easy money. And in some way, you can scrape by and do certain marketing channels. You can do your marketing better than others, become very efficient. You can have a prettier picture on your landing page or creative. That's not going to make the fundamental difference. If we really want to drive a long-term competitive advantage in this market, you need to be first, or you need to be sort of one order of magnitude better.
So what is that? That's what we want to know.
Well, I would say
Saxo back in the day.
Who?
Saxo Bank back in the day.
I would say one thing.
This isn't a sales for Saxo.
If you have the courage to start your own brokerage, you're already a long way. There's a reason that I'm head of communication. I don't have my own brokerage. I'm just not good enough for that. So just the main fact that you started your own brokerage, you probably know what you're really good at. Use it. So that's it doesn't have to be so complicated, right? You don't need a team like Saxo to do that. You probably know what you're good at if you started your own brokerage. And then do something unconventional. right? I mean, you said, would I ever publish my marketing strategy? Obviously not, right? But maybe I would publish how good I am on my webpage, right? And then I would call Forex Magnet and say, hey, I just started publishing the number of clients I got. Nobody else does that because everyone is so afraid that they're not good enough, right? But just the main fact that, you know, there's so many possibilities that you can differentiate yourself and do something new. And basically, as you said, that was just what Saxo did, right? It wasn't that complicated. It was just trying to do something different.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think actually there is no golden formula, you know, in our industry. I think Saxo Bank, you know, got some strength, so that's why they apply totally different marketing strategies. I think step one, what you can do, understand yourself much better, starting from data collections. Why people go with your small broker instead of go to Saxo? What are the reasons behind? And then, you know, you try to lower the CPA in the most effective way. CPA stands for cost per acquisition. So no matter we talk about RTB, we talk about CPM, we talk about CPC, all the way, we wanted to keep the cost of acquiring customer as the lowest one. So collect data. After that, you do some basic analysis, use conversion method that we propose. And then you know how to do what should be the next step.
What's the current CPAs at? Very random question. For a $1,000 account from Europe, what's the CPA?
I wouldn't look at it as a $1,000 client. I would look at it as how much it costs in this industry. And you know, with binary, we're seeing anywhere from 250 to 350, and Forex obviously is a lot higher than that, sometimes double to triple that number. So obviously, I think Frankie spoke about lowering that cost per acquisition, but I think what brokerages also need to do is increase the value of their customer. Because I think if you look at Saxo Bank's average value of a client, and you look at, I won't mention another brokerage, but a smaller sized brokerage, their values are going to be different, which means obviously Saxo Bank can outspend them, you know, anywhere. So I think if you're just looking at, because we do see very aggressive brokerages joining that just say, I want the lowest CPA, I want the lowest CPA, and they don't think about, okay, well, how are you going to increase the value of your client? Because you're not going to be able to compete long term. At some point, Gain Capital, Forex, FXM, or Saxo Bank will end up buying them or something like that. So
you need to focus on the lifetime value of a customer, yeah, right?
Exactly.
Try to optimize every step of the way, and this goes back also to measurement. As soon as you have an insight as to not just what this banner costs in terms of clicks or in terms of how many leads you got, but how much revenue you got in the end. If you know at every step of the way, at due diligence, I lose 25% of my customers. This is how many people fall off after year one. This is the average client lifetime cycle. Then you can start to focus on the things that are really important. Because if you increase the average lifetime value by 10%, that's an additional 10% to your bottom line, and that's often a more fruitful way of attacking things if you already have a larger customer base.
Yeah, I think, you know, besides what you mentioned, we have to make a balance, you know, between, you know, the value of the customer and also the CPA. We also need to make a balance, you know, between, you know, the number of conversions and against your CPA. So whenever you put a much tighter control on the CPA, that means you limit the growth of the number of customers. You only try the most effective channel. That means, you know, you compete everyone in the market. But if you lessen the control, maybe it's a good way to explore new revenue stream and new customer stream. So it's a good way. You need to do some testing trial to get a more optimum point over there. Yeah.
Perfect. How is the audience? Please, can you wake up? You know, it's a bit disrespectful sleeping in. No worries. We're going to go to some questions now. I can see everyone's going to put their hands up to engage in this discussion. Yes, sir. My beautiful newsroom manager, Mr. Jonathan, will bring the mic. Could you tell your name and the company?
Is it on? Hello? Right. Paul Smith, Mobile Trading Partners, London. We've been hearing a lot about retail marketing here. In common with quite a few of the participants in this summit, we're a technology provider. I'm just interested in what you'd like to say, each of you, about how to reach brokers, the financial institutions, the other people that we're interested in reaching?
Yeah, I can take this one. I think the main thing is in this market is that people know that you're knowledgeable, right? That you know what you're talking about, that you know your industry, that your product is better than others at fulfilling that need. So I think thought leadership is the dominant tactic for B2B providers. Of course, you can do thought leadership in many ways. You can have events like this. You can have a nice blog. You can have newsletters. You can do print. All these kind of things. I think that's the most important part. And then if you can afford it, of course, just brand awareness. These are very long-term sales cycles. So one additional thing that come to mind is doing mini conversion moments. So instead of going for the sale right away on your website, you have a guide where you talk about all the ways of mobile trading. All the advantages of it, something that's interesting for the target audience. They give their contact details and you can engage them for a longer time. But I think it all starts and ends with knowledge and thought leadership.
Well, I'm a technology provider, and after you found a need and you've developed a solution, which is a good solution, then you must build the trust. As Casper said, trust is the most important thing. And if you manage to build a business which is trustful and your clients feel free to approach you and ask you to fulfill their needs, this is the most important aspect of approaching any broker.
But just say creating that white paper takes time, which this person may not have expertise on. They're a technologist. And then they have to sell that, either push it through the search or the PR. Again, they don't have expertise.
Well, there's actually a unique solution that we've worked on. And
unique, yeah?
Well, it's quite unique. It's actually using retargeting, but it's retargeting the users that visit ifxexpo.com and Forex Magnets. So we call it the Broker Locator, and it's a product that we're actually launching here, which can actually do display advertising to people that visit websites that we know where broker decision makers actually visit. Obviously, that's just one element of marketing that you can do, but I think building the trust, once you've done that, it's about getting out there and building the awareness, because if nobody knows about you, then they're not going to really care. So, it's a combination of building the trust, having the right strategy, and then going out there and getting noticed and building that awareness.
Casper, same point on this. What do you need to tell people? Because as brokers, they hear a lot of products coming out, a lot of people trying to pitch to them. What's the key messages that need to come out?
That you know what you're talking about. I totally agree here. And
So is it a lot of technical jargon?
No, let me. My favorite session during the Forex Magnet Summit here is definitely the startup pitch yesterday evening. Because first of all, you get to know what the young guys are talking about, and secondly, it's quite nice to see that young guys like we saw yesterday have such potential of being thought leaders. I wouldn't worry so much about it, and some of you might think, well, am I a thought leader? You probably are, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have started your own brokerage. So I wouldn't be I wouldn't be so worried. I would say to everyone here that you should think about what it really is you can, what it really is that differentiate yourself from the rest of the crowd, and then focus.
Give away as much value as possible. That's
exactly
another very important
transparency,
thing.
right?
Don't be afraid
in
to give away stuff.
What makes your MT4 different than others? Just tell them that. Yeah. Any other questions? Stefan. Yeah. Mike's just going to come to you.
So here's a question. I'm expecting a neutral, more personal, less work-related answer.
Where you're from? Can you tell us?
TF Global Markets, Think Forex. Heading up marketing globally. So the question is, with your knowledge and what you're seeing around the world now with the different brokerages, marketing campaigns, who would you say has the best marketing campaign, thought leadership strategy you know, who do you really rate at the moment and why?
Is it a broker or one
markets?
campaign? Are we looking
Brokerage, yeah.
I would say
you can't say Saxo, you know that. Yeah?
damn. Next.
Be honest.
No, really. I would like to go back 2 years when Yannick won the startup competition.
And we can't relate to Saxo people, so...
No, but, well, I'm sorry. He was a student once, though. But the way that Tradable, you know, used Yannick and his youth and his knowledge and his, you know, sweatshirts, I really like that. You know, it didn't cost them anything, right? It was purely PR. He was on CNBC. He was everywhere, you know, for a couple of months after he won the competition here. And that just shows that if you just give it a thought, you probably know why you're special.
Perfect. Bart?
Well, I think in terms of direct marketing, I think FXCM is the savviest. But
why?
Just from experience. But look, I think it all comes down to not only your execution, it's also the product that you have, the sort of the company in as a whole. So it's very difficult to say. I mean, there are leaders in any sort of subsegment. So that's about as far as I wish to.
Frankie, what's the best campaign out there?
In China.
Yeah. I think, you know, I'm in a very embarrassing situation to say that. But I would say, you know, at least for China market, you need to use a very localized marketing strategy. So one or two campaigns I can recall is some of you even have a Chinese name in China market. At least can help you the brand, you know, the record rate. So I think localization is something very important when you enter into the market like China.
And can you tell us what is Forex trading, the word in Chinese? I always was curious.
So do you think you guys can understand, right? Why pay?
Why pay? There you go, why pay? Irez.
Well, there are many good marketing campaigns out there. But I think that when you're establishing your marketing campaign, it's very important to be very persistent and make sure you have a very, very straight line. And whenever someone sees your campaign, he immediately knows that it's your campaign. And if you've done that, you're halfway there. And
so you're going to answer his question then? Which is the campaign?
Well, as I said, there are plenty out there.
I'll answer. I'll answer one.
4 politicians and John.
I'll answer one that I've seen in the last couple years and followed them quite closely. Plus 500, I think what they've done in the last 2 to 3 years is quite phenomenal in terms of how much they were, how able they were to get those numbers up. And they, you know, I'm not saying that the quality of their campaigns are amazing. They're not. They're very simple, but they're consistent and they're everywhere. I mean, there was a point where I couldn't go anywhere without seeing their banners, and it wasn't retargeting because I make sure to delete my cookies. So they were obviously spending a lot of money, but they were doing it consistently. They had their own platform. It was very simple, usable on every platform, and they just, you know, within 2 to 3 years, I mean, look at them. They were valued at, what, 100, what is it, $1 billion or something? So, I mean, and their awareness, if you type in plus 500 in Google Trends now, you can see that their awareness is almost as high, if not higher, than some brands that have been around for 10 years. So I think it's a testament to what they've been doing. I'm not saying you can copy and paste that because they spend a lot, but...
If Plus 500 would stop marketing tomorrow, how long do you think it would take before they don't get any clients anymore?
That's a good question. Definitely, if they stop marketing tomorrow, it would fall off because I know they do a lot of direct marketing and they don't invest in their brand. And I'm not saying that they're an entity that you should just copy and paste, especially from a brand perspective. But what they do on performance, direct response, amazing.
Yeah, they're great in execution.
Yeah, affiliate marketing, all that stuff, direct response. And that's why, you know, I would, if there's one that I would highlight, would be them.
Thanks, John. We got 3 minutes left. Any more questions? One from the gentleman in the front here. John, please.
Hi, Itai Levitan, co-founder of Superia, an Israeli entrepreneur living in Berlin. Frank, question to you, please. There's 5,000 startups in Israel. There's a lot of marketing companies that want to spend more on Baidu. I'm also a stakeholder at IronSource, just set up an office in China. There's so many companies that want to spend more on Baidu, but are unable to because the do-it-yourself English interface product is not there for them. Do you see that changing? There's a lot of potential, and we would also love to spend more on Baidu. Just before you answer, if I may just make 2 points, especially thanks to John for the intelligent points. I think that as far as mobile compatibility, there's been a lot of talks about competitive advantages. Brokers that we see are still not doing enough on mobile. The basics, making sure that their funnels are usable. So I would focus on that as a low-hanging fruit. And I think there's also a differentiation opportunity in the languages, going not only on the main markets, especially if you're a medium size, but also for all brokers today, because the scale of opportunity and the margins are not there as they used to. You can also see that by the CPA reported price of plus 500 that doubled, more than doubled. So going on the non-English languages and setting up your processes and staff, sales staff, etc., to accommodate that strategy is something that I personally see there's still a lot of room for opportunity in. So just those two points.
Thanks to Italy. He was our 6th panelist from the audience. Before you guys go on, we also have a mobile app. We've got a Twitter feed, Facebook page, LinkedIn. So while you're here, you've got the free internet from LMAX. You can like us, share us, and do that now if you want. Frankie, do you want to take the final answer, and then we're going to call it a close?
Good news is very simple. I think not only Baidu, I think the major leading media platform in China, we are changing. Just like China Search, we already have 7 offices throughout the world, apart, from China. So that means we have more and more representatives can help you, to enter into the market throughout the world. And for the basic translation service, we even work with some translation house, so that I think language is not a barrier. But on the other hand, I wanted to make a reminder for you when you do advertising in China. I think the major obstacle when foreign players that get into the market is that they don't understand too much about the laws of advertising in China. Very simple, give an example. When one of the forex players come to me, I want to advertise. We need to do some censorship about their website or even their service. The reason is any sensitive messages published by Baidu that need to legally liability not only for the advertiser but also from Baidu.
So Frankie, do you have any staff members that can help Italy? Like, what's the solution for him? He wants to spend more with you. There's business there.
Usually, very simple. We have a team of optimizers. We will try to understand what is the current status, how much you are spending. So, what is the CPA currently you guys are enjoying? Where are the channels? What are the websites? Which Baidu products you're using? So that we can have an optimal plan for you. So I can just say yes or no, give you the model answer, because definitely that's quite unique for each individual advertiser. But just wanted to set expectation on the legal system in China about advertising. So that's why prepare more time for the first time to get online in Baidu or any other search engine in China. Usually it takes almost 4 weeks to get it online on the first time.
Perfect. So you have to work with a service provider to execute the campaigns for you, like Frankie's. There's not a good English self-service interface available.
So to spend more money with Frankie, you need to hire a bot. That basically is it, yeah?
Or Frankie,
yeah, good
actually.
Model answer.
Okay. So there's no time for any closing comments. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tweet and do all the stuff on social for us. If you've got any questions, you can ask these gentlemen. And hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Thank you very much.